Welcome to Industry Tactics. My name is Friendly Rich, and on today's episode, Nichol S. Robertson, the extraordinary guitarist and longtime friend. We've been friends for over, I'm going to say 15 years. You know what I notice about musicians? They may have great senses of time, and myself included. I mean, it's impeccable, perfect pitch. But I got no concept where any of these friendships or relationships last or crystallize or fester over time. So I'm eyeballing it. It could be 20 yar. But Nichol S. Robertson, enjoy, and we'll see you later. Get yourself accustomed and a custard and bring in the Wienerstang. Here he is coming in now off a fresh poo. Why don't you just check that microphone there, Nichol? We got it. That'll do her, yeah. Just give her a good slam. Get comfortable.
Oh, check.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
It's going back through those speakers.
It is. So we
can monitor ourselves.
We can feedback. Give yourself some good feedback. Yeah, take the coffee. Get accustomed. Get yourself accustomed and a custard. I'm going to set the timer now. Got Nichol S. Robertson in the splendor of the Friendly Rich Shrine.
Yeah. I've seen it a couple times now, but it always mystifies me and amazes me.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It is.
I'll put us on a stopwatch. I'll start us and we'll look down. No, I'll take that back. Reset. We're going to put it on a timer for 20 minutes because those of you who are watching on this is recording, the VR, we're in the industry, and we'll get her to beep the alarm sound after 20 minutes. Don't send. It just crashed. So just pay attention.
Androids.
Okay, at around 20 minutes on the stopwatch, we will turn off the ding-dong. And welcome to my shrine. For those of you watching at home, who do we have here? Nichol Esther Robertson.
It's nice to be here.
Thank you for coming.
You're very welcome.
Do you still hear the feedback?
No, man. It's clear as a bell.
Good. How long have we known each other?
I was thinking about that recently. It's been, I think, 12 years.
Come on. Only 12 yar? I would have put it at 15.
Maybe. Well, because why I was thinking about it is because I haven't had a drink in 11 and a half years. I remember the first...
I've only known you to never drink.
Nope. The first gig I ever played with you, I was loaded on.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It was when we played at the... It was like a church. Was it like a Catholic something or other? It was pre-Lollipop People.
Was it the Italian stuff? The Italian music that we had done. Yes.
Yeah, and I distinctly remember getting really drunk at home before that gig. And I forget how I got to the gig. I think my wife, my current wife, my then girlfriend.
Yeah.
I think she drove me.
Adelco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was really drunk for it.
Really?
Yeah.
Like on your breath, falling over yourself?
I was good at being really drunk. That was part of why I had to stop drinking.
Okay.
So it's
okay.
But yeah, I was really drunk then. So it has to be over 11 years ago. And I get the feeling that was in the fall, and I quit in January.
Oh, wow.
So I think that was kind of when I first met you. So like around about 12 and a half years maybe.
And so that's one thing we can say is that you've you consistently have not touched the toot since that first gig.
Yeah, no, I think I think it was just like around that time after that first gig, I just kind of came to it dawned on me that that drinking, although it was incredibly fun, was probably not what it was probably not a good life path, and so I stopped drinking. And it's been like, I mean, I couldn't even imagine what my life would be like now if I was drinking. It would probably be pretty bad. But it's
Yeah.
but it's it's not great because I'm not drinking. There's still ups and downs,
Sure.
but I guess
Sure.
that's the thing about not drinking is that there's ups and downs. Whereas when you're drinking, it's sort of evened out,
Yeah.
so you don't notice them. They're still there, and they probably build more because you don't deal with them. But for me, it was just a choice, and I'm lucky that I don't mind being around booze, and I don't mind hanging out with drinking people because I make my living in bars. Like
Right.
I'm essentially a bar fly, but I'm playing music in them, and it doesn't bother me, and so that's really good. Because I know a lot of other people who don't drink have a really hard time with that, like being in bars and stuff. So.
And so we've never really spoken about this, but maybe this is a good place to start.
Yeah.
Is your drinking kind of reached its point of something's got to give here around that time in the fall of whenever the fuck it was,
Yeah.
12 years ago?
Well, I mean, basically, my dad quit drinking when I was 3 or 4.
Okay.
And my grandparents, I think, were all alcoholics, so it's very clearly in my genes.
Okay.
And I kind of grown up knowing, like my dad talking a lot about that stuff, and so one day I was in class, in a finance class, and it was early in the morning. That was a dark period of my life.
Yeah.
And but yeah, then and I just recall thinking to myself, man, I gotta get a bottle of scotch because I drank Ballantine's scotch. That was my
Yeah.
that was my drink. As my friend said, it was the cream of the crap.
Wow.
And so I remember that I didn't have any at home, so I thought, oh, I've got to buy some on the way home. And then like a ton of bricks had just hit me. What if I don't buy it? What if I just stop drinking right now? And then I stopped. Like there was one moment where I stopped drinking and haven't really wanted to since.
Wow.
Haven't really had the urge. It was just I realized that, and prior to that, like nothing had gotten out of hand, but I had been drunk every night or day for at least a year and a half, mostly by myself. And it all just sort of kind of came crashing in that one moment that I realized, oh, that this is an issue. It's not just, I like to have a couple drinks. It's a consistent thing.
And I know your education, at least I think I know your education. And we'll talk about it, but you went to Cawthra for music?
Yep.
In Mississauga,
yep.
Yeah. And then you went to Humber College and finished in music.
Yep, for the jazz.
And then where the drink starts coming in on a nightly basis is finance.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, where the drink started coming in was from the first time I had a drink.
Yeah, yeah.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
It was what I've been looking for my whole life, right?
Okay.
Like, it was just sort of, it had gotten to a point where, and I guess it was because when I was at Humber, I was still living with my folks because they were pretty close by.
Yeah.
But at Ryerson, when I went there, I moved out, so I could sort of clearly define that I had been drunk for like a year and a half.
Okay.
Because I knew that I had been drunk pretty much every night I was living in this new place.
Okay.
So it was probably longer than that. And I didn't have a car when I lived there, so I was able to drink more and go out. Because when I lived with my parents in the burbs,
Yeah.
I had to drive, and that didn't stop me. I drunk drove.
Yeah.
But I started drinking pretty late when I was like maybe 16, which is late, I think, for a lot of kids who are going to get into partying and stuff.
Yeah.
But the first time I ever got drunk was I was on a camping trip with a bunch of older guys that I played in bands with and stuff, and one of them asked me to come along, and it was cool. But I was the odd sheep. Like I was just this young kid who really had no business being there. But Sly was there. Sly Uhas was there at that same camping trip, the first trip that I ever got drunk.
The shepherd eating pie? Was he eating pie?
You know what? I think he was just drinking a lot of beers, which is sort of what he does nowadays. But yeah, it was great, and so hi Sly.
Hi, Sly. I hope, Sly, if you're watching this, you purchased the Google Cardboard that I asked you to purchase.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
And for those of you listening to this, we just waved to the new Ricoh camera, which we're very excited about. We're doing the first 20 minutes of this podcast in the virtual reality. So we're very conscious about the way we look, aren't we?
So I should probably bring this out too.
Yeah, this is Nichol S. Robertson.
Just like Bachman. Anyway, so that's and so by the time I got to Ryerson, Humber almost killed my love of music, and then I got to Ryerson doing business, which reinvigorated my love of music because I was doing something very actively that had nothing to do with music.
Right.
So then I picked up music on the side as fun, and then I got a lot better at it, and then made my living, and here I am now.
And you haven't looked back.
No.
I mean,
it's great.
You made that decision because I remember that was when we were doing a lot of work with each other, and there was a time where you were considering accounting and then musicking whenever you could, and the accounting side just never stuck, I guess. I
kind of realized that for me, at least at that point in my life, and you can never rule anything out, but I realized at that point in my life, if I was to switch fields and try and do more of an accounting-y thing full time, for one thing, to get your designations, you really have to spend 2 or 3 years basically doing nothing else. And I couldn't have done that because I need to play music to live. And then even when you get into working in it, I didn't want to be a weekend warrior kind of guy who just played in one band for friends.
Yeah. Weekend warriors.
What's going on over here?
Cannot be trusted. No, listen. Oh, listen. Okay, did we hear that? That might have been the first fart in Industry Tactics. Pardon me. I just want to hear how you sound, my friend. We have Nichol S. Robertson with us here this afternoon.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk?
I think I'm sounding pretty good.
You sound like shit.
Yeah, it sounds.
You got to come closer.
I have to come closer.
Yeah.
So should we read?
We'll redo the whole top end. Okay. Now, Industry Tactics. What we're worrying about here, though, this is an interesting thing that I actually think. You take car on that mic stand, okay? Just come in closer to it. You don't move the mic stand. Yeah, you just move. That's nice. We got Nichol Robertson. Okay, so that was just a warm-up. The first 20 minutes are going to be in virtual reality so that you can get a little teaser, a little cupcake, and then you got to come back to the Industry Tactics podcast to hear the rest of this conversation. But one of the interesting things is, this is the guitarist extraordinaire in my shrine here, Nichol S. Robertson, who I've known for apparently 12 years.
About that?
Yeah, but that is something that a lot of musicians and a lot of creative people will relate to, is how do you figure it out? Now, I'm not saying you have it all figured out at this point in your life, but yeah, you were thinking of, at one point, being an accountant and getting the job done that way seemed like the right move, yeah?
Yeah, and then I started to work in that world a little bit. I worked at a music management company, helping out with the books. And then I started playing more and more, and realizing that I could make a living playing and teaching music, and I love teaching music too. And then it just started to make a lot more sense to just do music, because I'm lucky enough to get to play the stuff that I love, and get to play with folks like you, and almost every act I play with I enjoy it. Like it's very rare that I get a gig where I'm doing it just for money. That's fairly rare.
Yeah.
Usually when I get asked for things, they know they're hiring me for me, and so it's going to be fun, and it's going to be a good time. So I realized that I sort of could play 5-6 nights of the week and teach during the days and make a living that way, and then I could just do music, and it was beautiful.
And you've not looked back since. It's been really like.
Back. No, I've never really thought I've thought about weighing teaching versus playing, and in the past couple of years I've done a lot of touring, and I'm realizing now that I think I'm happier just kind of being at home playing 5-6 nights a week.
Yeah. 7 nights a week sometimes. You take a night off?
No, I don't take a night off. So if a night off is handed to me, I'll have a night off, but I don't ever turn down gigs. I never say no. Very rarely. I only say no to gigs if I sense that it's going to be a lot of work for no reward, whether that's, money.
Yep.
But it doesn't need to be money. It could just be like a really fun time.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't have money or a fun time, or if it's a really long chunk of time that I've got to do, then I'll turn it down. But I rarely turn gigs down these days.
I've noticed, man, there's been something like, since you've, I guess, sort of defined that touring for, like, you had a tear.
Yeah.
Where the last couple of years, especially, you've been touring like mad.
Yeah.
But I guess we've had a lot of conversations around this. If staying in our drivable community here is where you want to be based with a young family, and I assume that obviously has a lot to do with this. But it's been a career decision, right? You've sort of said, like, I want to stay here, and I want to, and you've defined it. It's weird because you've never actually come openly out and to say it, but like,
right.
You've just sort of defined it by doing it, by playing.
Yeah, well, yeah, like
Everyone asks you now, right, on Facebook, like, do you take a fucking night off because you're constantly playing?
Totally, and I'm lucky that people like me enough to hire me so I can do it, but.
Yeah.
And I'm saying about this with my wife. Like, I'm not ruling out touring ever. Like
Sure.
I'm sure I'm going to tour.
Sure.
I'm sure I'm going to get those
It's part
calls.
of it. Yeah.
But I think gone are the days where I'm going to be excited to tour for not much money, just for the sake of going across Canada and seeing it. Because I've seen Canada many, many times now, and it's beautiful, and I love going out. But it's gotten to a point where I like being home and playing. And not playing the same 20 songs every single night. That's one thing about touring that I didn't even really think about when I first started getting into it. But it quickly became apparent that playing the same songs with the same people night after night, that's not what my brain's wired for. My brain's wired for doing a lot of different things. I play in, mostly what I do is roots music.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly country, but I play in avant-garde free things. I play in Your Weird Band. I play with Fred Speck and like I do all of these different things. But even when I'm doing classic country, generally it's not with the same people every night in a row. So I'm just getting these different energies and vibes and musical experiences night after night. Whereas on tour, you get a lot of different experiences and stuff, but it doesn't have to do with music whatsoever.
It's more so, is it not more so, it's fair to say it's more so anthropological, right?
Totally.
Like you're observing, like you're doing something very similar every night. It's everything around you that's changing. And that is the beauty, though, of making music on a nightly basis, seeing how it affects people at that given time, right?
Yeah, and like touring's neat. You meet all sorts of people, you do all sorts of cool things, and it's like going to camp.
But it's not the most creative pursuit, is it?
No, it's not, and no, it's not at all. Like I mean, when I first started touring, I was excited because I had read Zappa's book, and he talked about how he'd rehearse his band on the road, and I was excited for that. I was excited for like a sound check that would last for 2 hours. We could just play and try new things and do new stuff, and then nobody really does that. And at first it sort of bummed me out, but then later I sort of realized it's because we've just driven for 10 hours from Brandon, Manitoba or something.
Yeah.
And we're all exhausted and we just don't want to do it. And so it started making sense, but at some point it would be wonderful to be, in a band under some sort of leadership where that was the thing. Like they would go up and do a sound check every night and try new things and be a real so you could do that stuff, but nothing I've really been involved with has had the luxury and too, like I mean, Zappa was either in a plane or a bus.
Yeah.
I've done van tours where we have to drive, so it affords you much less time to be creative and actually work on things. You sort of have your 2 hours if you're lucky, 25 minutes if you're an opening band, which is awful. I hate playing for 25 minutes a night.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing ever. I want to play 8 sets a night.
You're just getting warmed up.
Yeah, totally,
yeah.
barely. And
Yeah.
and then you're off, and then you have to hang around, and I don't know. It's a weird scene, and I'm realizing that concentrating more on my own music, and or just playing with different people around town is where I'm the happiest.
You told me once that, and recently I think, that if you're not doing the 7 days a week or 6 days a week, playing as much, what triggered this for me is the 8 sets comment, right? Like that's when you're happiest. Mm-hmm. That is when you're happiest, eh? It's you take that away from you, what happens?
Well, I mean, yeah, like I'm really busy these days. And
yeah.
It's great. I would love to see my wife and kid a little bit more.
Right.
But at the same time, if I wasn't this busy, I'd be bummed out that I wasn't busy. Because playing... I was talking with a guy last night, Tom Walsh, a trombone player with a great mustache. And we're talking about stage fright and stuff with one of the people we were playing with. Mm. And Tom said, man, I'm the most comfortable in this world when I'm on stage. And I just smiled because I'm the same way. There's no other place I'm more comfortable than on stage.
That's awesome.
And it's just like, so the more I can be on stage, and like me, it's got its ups and downs, and there's times where it's fun and there's times where it's less fun, but when it's right, that's where I'm the happiest. Because I get it. I feel like I know what happens on a stage perfectly, and different curveballs come, but like life is hard because I don't know. But being on stage is where I'm the happiest, and so the more I can be on stage and play, the happier I am, and as long as I can make the gig, then I'll find a way to do it or get sleep. I just heard your mom call you and.
Yeah, accuse me of fucking sleeping until 10 a.m. Eh? That's I keep her in the dark on that one. She thinks I really like to bum it, which is awesome.
My mom called me yesterday, and I was driving to first of 2 gigs yesterday, and I think I had a session yesterday morning.
A session, for those of you guys,
Saturday, right?
is a recording session. So when he just says a session, it's not like he's getting his hair done. No. Can we see your ponytail? Okay, for those of you in the VR land, you got 1 more minute. Actually, Nick,
whoa.
Can you play a little bit of blues here play a little something for the kids before we break with the ponytail on, preferably, okay? We'll try to stretch this thing. We're probably over the 20-minute mark here, so I don't know if this is going to get cut off, but Nichol S. Robertson. And now if you want to hear the rest of our conversation, tune into the podcast. Goodbye.